another one.
All right, so this one says, 10 years of manual QA experience, just laid off. Want to add automation to my skills. So it says, I'm a QA with 10 years of work experience in manual with multiple attempts at teams trying to start automation, as well as being part of the team to try building a framework. I also have a master's degree in information technology management. And while I say it again, next paragraph, I also stick mostly to startups or small 200 or less companies because I just don't do well with tons of people. So I was laid off from my job on Friday. I was really fortunate to have it. I was really fortunate to have had it, and I learned a lot more than I already had. But the one thing I've never had a company support me in picking up was automation. And with my experience, I'm looking for something to bring back to the job. Of course, I also don't like working for companies with more than 200 people, so I stick to startups. But generally, while I'm looking for my next job, I'm also looking to use the package they gave us. I'm also looking to use the package they gave me to learn automation so I can join a team who actually wants to build their automation out and have it done the right way. Or at least I'm in the right position to know how to provide support to an existing team. I've been told so many different things about what tool is best, what language is best to write in, and how to best learn. And it always seemed like the strategies they used were wrong, fundamentally. I read through the pin starting in automation, but again, it was a automation and not a lot of it targeted really to me, it felt like. But it did point out a common problem that I've seen when companies try to build automation teams. Too many companies want to get an automation team member, but then not teach them the inner workings of how the project is meant to work. Instead, they put the automation guy to work building their framework, and then they try to make it ID 10T error proof for their QA team. What the hell are you talking about? Instead of trying to teach them how it works from the base level. So I guess this poses a few things. First, the question of how does automation need to be approached? I always felt that you want to take a QA who knows their way around the system, front and back end, with enough knowledge that they can easily create automation to run across the different workflows and scenarios. This makes it so they would have the knowledge as well as a rapport with their team to know how to either find something themselves or quickly have a resource who can tell them how to find it or where to look. Is this not something that happens? What tool is actually the easiest to learn, use, configure, and work with while also being robust enough that it can be used most front and back end systems? I hear Selenium is industry standard, but that doesn't mean it's actually approachable. It just means it's popular. Nope, that's not the one I wanted. This is the one I wanted. Because that's how I'm starting to feel reading this, right? I just wanted to know what people in my situation actually used. I used Renorex when I initially started trying to learn back in my first job. Then I learned to type Rainforest QA cases, which was just outsourced testing. And at my most recent job, their automation guy made a framework of like 4 different programs, all that all joined in VS Code, and it included like Selenium as a base with 2 or 3 other code bases that make it robust or something. He was unfortunately laid off last year, so that project stopped mattering, but we made some effort anyway. All right, hold on one second. So some commentary. This post is a lot of mumbo jumbo and totally focused on the wrong thing because, hey, you're unemployed right now. So you have bigger problems to worry about. All right, back to the question. What language do I need to learn basics for to accompany that tool? I hear JavaScript is really common and pretty effective, and I started learning the basics of it to specifically to automation, but was told it wasn't a priority anymore, so had to stop. So what kind of information can my fellow QA impart to help a friend improve? Okay. Whew. That was something, all right? So I'm going to put the clock up on this one, and this is going to be our last question for the night. But here is my issue with this particular question, right? It is so much talking about things that you don't know anything about, right? To start off, right, this person says that they have 10 years of manual QA experience and that they want to add automation to their skill set. So how do they have so much of an opinion on automation? That doesn't really make much sense to me, right? It's like so opinionated on something that you're not familiar with, and I don't know. That doesn't make much sense, right? So, but I guess because they have a master's degree in information technology management, that gives them the right to have that opinion. And here is a message to everyone out there, right? If you're looking to grow, you're looking to expand, you're looking to land a position, like let's say you want to learn automation, but you're picky about only working for startups. Maybe because you only work for startups, it didn't give you the opportunity to grow like you want to grow, right? But because you don't do well with tons of people, if you don't do well with tons of people, then QA is not for you because you are always talking and communicating with, right? Talking to developers, you're talking to your product, your product owner, you're talking to your scrum master, talking to different stakeholders, you're presenting in sprint reviews, you're articulating yourself, you're being active in all the different scrum meetings, right? So not being well with tons of people, but you don't necessarily interact with all these people in the company in the first place, right? So it doesn't make any sense, right? So now this person says they're laid off from their job recently, but then they're like so opinionated on all these automation flows and everything like that. When you admit that you didn't work in automation, right? So here, another problem with this, right, is you want to join a company who's going to build their automation out the right way. You don't know what the right way is. And the biggest problem that I have with this question and these type of questions, right, is you expect your company to do it for you. No. The company does not owe you anything. They hired you to do a job, and if you can do it, okay, you're working for them. If not, then if they choose to to save money and to retention, then they can teach you how to do it, but they're not required to. So when we go around saying, oh, my company didn't teach me this, my company didn't teach me that, it's not their job to teach you. What they're required to teach you is like the ins and outs of their particular software and operations, but to do your general job, your basic job, it's not their requirement. For you to level up, it's not their requirement. You should have been working the past 10 years to improving your skills in all aspects of QA and career-wise, right? You shouldn't be sitting around waiting for your company to train you, right? Should have been learning automation a long time ago. I honestly don't understand people who do testing, who sit around, like, what are you doing for all these years where you just go in, you do manual testing, and then you go home? And then when they outsource your position, you get upset because they got someone who does the same exact thing for a lot cheaper. Right? What value are you bringing? That critical thinking, those critical thinking skills is like the most valuable thing that you can bring to an organization as a QA engineer. Because you see outside the box, you're able to navigate working with giving the developers other ideas, pointing out flaws in some of the in certain aspects, so that we can catch this before we actually go to production. All right, so let's keep going a little bit, right? So I've been told so many different things about what tool is best, what language is best, and how to best learn it. And it always seemed that the strategies they used were wrong. How do you know? It's like me, right? And this is why I am very like, again, shout out to the test lead. He, like, from talking to him, he seemed very nice, very patient. I am not that patient with people, right? If you ask me for something that I'm an expert in, you ask me for advice, and I tell you, and then you want to debate me when you don't know anything about it, I am not going to debate you. I am just going to walk away, because it is not worth, it's not worth my time, because I have people who are looking to be helped, tons and tons of things to do, and I'm not going to argue with you on something you don't know anything about, right? So for you to say that their strategies were wrong, when if they have the experience, did you even try those strategies? Like, how far did you get into, right? So you're looking at starting in automation, and it's a lot of information. Okay, I don't have the book next to me, right? But books have lots of information. And this is the issue that I have, right? So this person says that they have a master's degree in information management system. You went, 6 years of college? That's tons and tons of information. But you can't read a single post about getting started in automation and like figure that out. Like, and you see, and this is the reason that I take degrees and all that type of education stuff with a grain of salt. Your degrees are cool, but they have less weight until we actually talk and you actually can articulate yourself and express yourself, right? These are the type of victim Olympic posts that drive me crazy, right? So it's a lot of information, right? And it's not really targeted to you, right? So it's like, so now a general post is supposed to help everyone, right? It's like saying, right, this stream is not targeted specifically to you, so you can't get anything out of it. No, like, you have to learn from everyone and everything you encounter. Like, I'll give you an example, right? I'm gonna read your message shortly, Melissa, but I want to use you as an example. She's learning web development and using different resources, like the course that she's taking, searching online, trial and error, everything. Like, it's not just like, I'm just gonna sit and wait. I'm gonna sit and wait and have it done for me. No. And this is the thing, right? You have to go out there and research. You have to go through trial and error to figure things out. It's not just going to be handed to you, right? And so then now, and this post is like kind of all over the brain. It's kind of scatterbrained, right? So now it's like, too many companies want to get an automation team member, but not teach them the inner workings of how the project is meant to work. So I'll tell you this. Every company that, like, when I go to a company, right, I don't know, when I get hired there, I don't know the inner workings of all the things, but they have test cases that I can review, and I can start executing those test cases to get an understanding of how things work. If they're properly documented, you're going to understand. And then I can start automating it to get familiar with their code base, all that stuff, right? And then as I continue working on it, continue to learn about it, I revise my automation, I enhance it. So you don't need to like hire somebody as a manual tester and then teach them how to do automation. No. You can definitely teach, like, if you do that, that's cool, but you can hire people. Like, if you want to move faster along, Hire people who know how to do automation already, and then they'll, like, if they're good at their job, they will learn the system and go from there. See, instead of trying to teach them how it works from the base level, you don't have to go to ground zero, like start from the very beginning. Like, especially you're gonna learn, like in agile, you're gonna learn like the prior things as they come up, but you don't need to learn all the ins and out of everything before you get started. You join the team, and it's like you iterate on yourself as well, right? So it doesn't like Jesus. All right. So the question of how does automation need to be approached? Well, you already rejected the general advice that the subreddit was giving you. So how does automation need to be approached? You sign up for a course, right? Whether you're going to a boot camp or you do a Udemy course, sign up for a course and you follow the instructions, you follow the directions. And if you have questions, you come in and you post it in the Discord, or you post it in the whatever resource that the course has, or you come here to the live stream and you ask Tech Coach Ralph and he will give you an answer. But the most important thing in anything that you ever do is to stop talking about it and start doing it. Take the first step. All right. The first step is crucial, because once you take that first step, you can see where you need to adjust, where you need to pivot, and you go from there. But you don't just like, you don't have that analysis paralysis, right? You get started. Simple as that. You get started, and then you go from there. You start writing something. You start doing something. Follow the guides on getting your first automation done. Write the most basic automation test, and then you learn from there and you iterate on that. But just reading about it and everything is not going to get you anywhere. All right. Let's say. What tool is so this is the part that right? What tool is actually the easiest to learn, use, configure, and work with, while also being robust enough that it can be used with most front end and back end systems? You're not even at that level yet, right? So I always like, Selenium is the most common tool, right? And this is the cool part, right? I hear Selenium is industry standard, but it doesn't mean it's actually approachable. Well, maybe you should, like, if you are unemployed, right? And this is the part, if you're unemployed, right? Why not learn the industry standard to get hired doing that? You don't have any automation experience, so you're not going to get hired for some fancy automation role, right? So you need to use your 10 years of QA experience with your master's degree in information technology management. Use that to learn, like, to make you more marketable to every company out there. Because with 10 years of experience, you're going to get a lot more traction than somebody who's just getting started, right? But learn Selenium, even if you don't feel it's the most approachable, whatever that means, right? It just means it's popular. So what? Go with what's popular and get a job, right? But you don't even know, like, anyways, whatever. I'm not gonna go in on that part. But it's just this like posts like this, they just frustrate me, right? I want to know what people in my situation actually use. When you say people in your situation, do you mean people who are unemployed and they don't have any like they got laid off and they don't have any automation experience? Well, they go for the industry standard and then they start to learn. And they go from there. Like when I was unemployed, right? I already knew how to automate, but I got better at it. I learned how to do it in a different language. I learned how to do it in Python. I built frameworks. I did a bunch of work to get myself better, but I didn't sit around and like say, oh, well, what other people, if I was employed, this is what I would do. No, I went and I did the work that I had to do. All right. And most of my recent job, the automation guy made frameworks. Sounds like he did a great job. He was laid off, so it stopped working. What language do I need to learn basics to accompany that tool? I don't know. So the tool is Selenium. Learn Java or Python. You heard JavaScript is really common and pretty effective. And I started So, and this one is more practical. What I'll say about JavaScript is a lot of companies are using Cypress, but I still see the mostly in demand is for Selenium. So I would always start off with Selenium, but I have it on my list to learn Cypress, make myself more marketable. I have it on my list to learn Playwright, which is going to be a live stream coming soon, right? So always make yourself more marketable. That's a fact, right? Yeah. Yep, that's it. Whatever. That's that question. I've had enough of that question. I don't want to harp on it too much. So that was that question.
If you enjoyed the fascinating information shared in this video and you want more, be sure to hit the subscribe button to Tech Coach Ralph to be notified for new videos.